Hi! Hello, ladies, gents, and Alaskan threshers hunting for my blood. We return to the yearly roundup of every freaking video game that I have played this year. Let's get right into it because the length of this video may be legendary. I spent a little too long talking about each video game the last year, so let's see if I can make it a little bit more concise. Lorelai, I finished it. Hey, let's click on the store page and get the trailer on the screen. That way I don't have to edit in any gameplay. You can look at the damn trailer while I talk about the game. Why didn't I do it last year? I am short-brained. I am an imbecile. And let's see if we can talk about all these games in a concise manner. Lorelai, side-scrolling. I already talked about it last year, so let's make it short. I finished it. It was good. Side-scrolling point-and-click adventure without any other point-and-clicking because it's keyboard controlled. It is mostly focused on the narrative and a few of the choices, not so much the puzzles. There is some puzzles, but it's focused on the narrative mostly, and it's good. The writing, I would call it inconsistent. Sometimes I'm like, man, I'm really into this. The other times I'm like, please shoot me in the brain pan right now with a nail gun so I don't have to experience these sentences anymore. But those are few and far between. Most of the time it's a really good story, and I am into the franchises. It's a big cinematic universe, the Harvester Games universe, and they came out with a new one. It's called Burnhouse Lane. Very much looking forward to playing through it. Next up is the South Park, the Stick of Truth. I believe that I also spoke about it the last year, but I may be mistaken about that. It's a turn-based role-playing game, and it's uncanny how good it is at getting you into the South Park. It's basically playing through South Park episodes. It's so well done. But the thing with South Park, at least for me, is you reach a threshold. Like you are, oh man, South Park is so funny. I am really into it. And then you reach a threshold and you're like, I've had enough South Park. And you don't really want to experience it anymore. And maybe a year later, oh yeah, South Park, that was awesome. Let's laugh my ass off. Get your fill, go back to not wanting any South Park, and the cycle repeats. And I have started this game 3 times by now. It's a good game. It's a great game. I guess the gameplay doesn't hook me enough to want me to make me finish it on its own merits. It's only insofar how much South Park do I want in my life. And I guess the answer is just I've had enough. Left 4 Dead 2, remember? Left 4 Blood? No. Back 4 Blood, right? I am almost certain it's Back 4 Blood. The remake or the follow-up by the makers of Left 4 Dead that turned out to be like 2 people that work on 7 assets. And the game was so much worse than actual Left 4 Dead that Left 4 Dead went through a revival at the time. Well, I was part of that. I went into the game. I had a good time once more. I played a lot of Left 4 Dead 1, not so much Left 4 Dead 2 back in the day, but it was a good time. All right, that was a good time. I'm done with it. It is, I keep forgetting to describe the game, but come on, who in the hell needs Left 4 Dead described? A zombie cooperative survival game where it's 4 survivors against the multiplayer, 4 survivals against the horde, and you go through the maps, and it's a fantastic, beautiful campaign. Sever Steel, I was recommended this game in the comments, and I looked at the trailer and I was like, oh, this looks really cool. And it's a great game. I came out saying, this is a great game that my brain works too slow to process. Please play there's no playing the trailer, so you just get a couple screenshots. That is a freaking tragedy because I really do want you to play this damn trailer. Hey, there you go. Because it will show just how freaking fast this game is. Too fast for me. I was stressed out trying to play through it. I could have, hang in there, but I was playing it. I was like, man, this is how boomers must feel when you put a controller in their hands. The game is so fast. It's like a time attack first-person shooter where you go through the levels and you have to, like, through acrobatics and pirouettes, get through the level, shooting every enemy and getting through the next level. It's very cool. I really liked it, but it was too fast for me to get really into it. And that's kind of a tragedy. But hey, it might not be so fast for you Zoomers out there. No Man's Sky, the incredible comeback story. I think I also talked about it last year. The space exploration game, absolutely excellent. It delivers everything. It is making me so salty that the trailers are not loading for the video. I'm getting pretty damn annoyed. But anyway, the space exploration game. I got my fill of it. I did not finish it, which is like technically you finish it by reaching the center of the galaxy, but it shows right down here, 57 hours played. I kind of got my fill, and I got to the point where I realized the gameplay loop is you get rich to get rich to get rich to get more rich and get more rich and then get even richer. And I was like, I've become rich enough. I don't want to go through any more riches. I am so mad that the trailers are not playing. I don't know why they have decided, like I was testing how the setup would work and everything, and it's like everything was loading perfectly. Now has decided that it doesn't want to load. Let me see if I can fix this. I have no idea. You're just going to get sporadic gameplay mixed with looking at a blank screen. Who cares? You just go to the next video game. Dragon's Dogma Dark Horizon. Arisen? It is not even marketed. At the time that I started it, it had this reputation of being a Souls-like, but it's not really. The only thing that has in common is a 3D action adventure on a fantasy game. It's just not freaking loading. It's annoying the shit out of me. I'll just tell you what. I paint a picture with you with my words. It's a 3D action game, role-playing, open world. I mean, you can just look at this, right? I don't need to actually describe it, but it is very grindy, and the enemies kind of scale with you. I forget exactly. There was a very specific reason why I stopped playing it, and I don't want to make it up. I don't want to just vaguely recall this reason, so I'm not gonna tell you the reason, but there was a reason, and I was like, I want to tend towards it was just too damn long. I looked on some guides. It's like, how long does it take to get to the end of this game? It's too damn long, and I didn't want to. It's like 200 hours or something like that. Great game. I didn't want to get through it. Once again, I got my fill, and I was like, all right, I experienced the game. I am going to just carry on. Absolutely wonderful world and all kinds of stuff that you can do. It's a very in-depth game. It's a very strange system with you have like a servant cast and you use them as assistants. It's just kind of bizarre. Let's just move on. Transport Fever 2. I had a bit of insight about myself while starting up this game. I'm playing it. Let me give you a little bit of background. When I was a kid, I loved Transport Tycoon Deluxe. It was one of my favorite games growing up. My brother and I would fight over the computer to see who would play it. So when I got Transport Fever 2, it's like, man, this is a revival of those times. I'm going to get into it, build a giant transport empire. And I started playing, and I was like, all right, I started playing. I did a couple lines to transport, bus lines, and then a few industries, connected them with railroad and trains and stuff. And I kind of had an outer body experience, and I saw the future, and I could see myself playing this game for maybe a month, putting a bunch of hours into it. The empire would expand, and then I will be done with it, and I will move on. And in that point, I felt like I had already played the game, because the moment gameplay wasn't very involved. You're playing it to create the empire, but the action of creating that transport company is good. It's what it should be, but it's not that fun. It's not that, like, you're not engaging with a story. You're not Twitch reacting to shots being thrown your way. It's not like every game needs to be fast-paced or anything like that, but it was like I had already played it without playing it, and I was at that point, satisfied with my experience, and I decided to move on to the next. If you're into Tycoon games, I understand it's a fantastic entry into the Tycoon games. Don't let me dissuade you from playing this game, but I was like, I already know what's gonna happen. Why do it? It was kind of weird. It was a kind of weird experience. Rogue Tower. It was the flavor of the month. At that point, my boy Northern Lion was playing. I was like, I'm going to play this game. I'm going to smoke that guy. He wasn't very good at it. I was like, you know, the typical thing. I'm sure it has happened to you while watching me. I'm not all that competent, so you want to do better. You get the game for yourself. It is kind of a marketing tactic, and maybe they hire Northern Lion to be bad at video games sometimes. Not that the guy is bad. Anyway, let me just move on with from Egg Boy. It's a fantastic tower defense, and up until that point, I really disdained tower defense games, and it kind of taught me that, hey, there are tower defense games that are really, really fun. They can be very addicting, and you know, a very good intellectual exercise. And it was extremely difficult video game. I did finish every mode except the one with the 3 lanes that go into your tower. That was a little too tough for me. I just could not figure it out. But it was a great video game. I actually reviewed it. What did I review this game? Please, someone help me. I literally see shooting ballistas when I try to go to sleep. It sounds about right. It is Ballista Day every day in the Rogue Tower universe. Fantastic tower defense. Project Warlock. This is a first-person shooter, very old school. Thank goodness those trailers are loading. I don't need to actually expound upon any further. The trailer is showing you pretty good experience of what it's like. I enjoyed it a lot. I really like old school FPSs, and I acquire them as I get called by them, by their marketing, and then I go check them out on the YouTube, and it's like, this looks great. I will enjoy it a great deal. I play them a bit. I often just don't finish them, but still come out with an extremely positive idea of them. This Project Warlock, it does have some character progression. You unlock a bunch of upgrades as you go. You improve your weapons, you improve your own character. I think there was also spells. It was a while ago, so don't quote me on that, but it's a great first-person shooter. Would definitely recommend. Next up, Vampire Survivors. Do I even need to tell you anything about Vampire Survivors? I actually made a video about this. You can check it out on the channel. It is the flavor of the month that created a new genre. There's so many clones of this game. I would say at least 50% of it is its ludicrous price of $3. What a wonderful move. The monetary move, that decision they made, like they're going to make this game extremely cheap. People are going to get addicted to it, and it will just propagate like a disease through the internet. And it really worked out. It's a fantastic exponent of, what do you even call them? What do you even call them? It markets itself as a bullet hell, but it's not really. It's a monster hell. It's a monster hell action roguelike, sure. Vampire Survivors like. It has created its own genre. Really, the dopamine hits on this game are surreal. The level ups constantly come, and that's what all that gets you super addicted. Insurmountable, it's a roguelike where you don't fight anything. You just traverse a mountain. With your mountaineer, you get into situations, make decisions that give you this or that resource, encounter certain threats and situations. You're never fighting, you're just always just making choices. It was a great time that I got bored of pretty quickly. I wouldn't say it's a bad game. It's funny how video games without combat, if they don't have a story, it's hard to get into them. And this is like a decision. It's just take it as a. Did you ever read those choose your own adventure books? This is perhaps the highest exponent that I have played. It is climbing up a mountain with a choose-your-own adventure experience, and you make decisions of where to go, which path to follow. There are character unlocks and, vertical progression that way. You also manage your inventory as the trailer is showing right now. It's a great roguelike, but I was like, it's alright. Just not good enough for me to get hooked on. Definitely would not recommend it. Odd Realm, I played it for like 5 minutes. So let's see the store page, and it'll hopefully show you exactly why that happened. Actually, the trailers just didn't show, and that's why I was bamboozled into playing it. Bamboozled, that's harsh, because it may be an excellent video game. You see the size that is showing the screen right now? Maybe I can even maximize it. Look at that. This is the experience, and it's so tiny. I just couldn't get into it. The entire culprit is the graphics for me in this one. It's so tiny and impossible to decipher unless you really get into it that I bounced right off. I was like, I don't want to care about this. So I have no positive or negative words. I'm just saying I bounced off it because the visuals were so inaccessible. Gris, I made a excellent, if I do say so myself, video about this too. I think I did it on the other channel, the White Moth channel. I love this game, and the review will tell you the long and short of it. When the Gromulans arrive on Earth and pass judgment upon humanity to determine whether we're worth keeping around, show them this game. It is among the greatest, most gorgeous works of art this species can produce. They'll still eradicate us all, but at least they'll do it with some reluctance. When people talk about it, game says art. This game is the #1 exponent. Forget Journey and Gone Home and all that bullshit. Gris is art and movement. It is absolutely gorgeous. And if you have even a remotely passing interest in pretty pictures, I will recommend this game for you to experience. It is just so freaking beautiful. It's a side-scrolling, very light on the puzzles kind of experience. It's a side-scrolling platformer, very light on puzzles, very good, so beautiful. Gorogoa, another common recommendation. It's one of those games that I play for a little bit. I was like, oh man, I'm going to play in the channel. I'm going to stop playing it so I can play in the channel. It's like a one-time experience, and I never got around to it. It's like a puzzle thing where you move the images around and you combine them to progress through the game. It is very unique, and I still would like to make a playthrough of it, but I just haven't gone around to it. I'm also kind of like, smooth-brained, and I might humiliate myself not being able to get through a certain puzzle. It is really weird, though. It's weird in a good way. You explore the vignettes, and then you get to a certain point, and you can drag certain elements in the vignette, and you combine it with the other vignette, and you solve the puzzle that way. It's very cool. Another incredible work of art that at some point maybe I'll make a playthrough. Keplerth, another game where I made a video of it. It looks like Rimworld. It has nothing to do with Rimworld. It is actually an exploration sandbox game where you kind of build up a base. You could think about it about a very light version of Minecraft, but not really. It is kind of bizarre. It got a little too grindy for me. It has that survival experience. Yes, there you go. Rimworld graphics for Terraria. I mean, it's not as involved and as plentiful as Terraria, but it really does have that vibe. And it's a good game. I just didn't want to. I stopped grinding. My wife got more into it than I did. It's weird. Dyson Sphere program. Another one that I made a video about. I love this game. Perhaps the best Factorio-like, including Factorio. I enjoyed Dyson Sphere program better. Factorio is fantastic, don't get me wrong. I ain't dissing Factorio. Is one of the greatest games of all time. I enjoy Dyson Sphere program better. It is so incredible. It's so good to go from your tiny little duplicating factory in your tiny little planet powered by freaking wood to go out to a star system and harvest the energy of the sun. It is so awesome, and I will very much recommend it to anybody, even remotely interested in Factorio-like build your base kind of automation type of thing. It's so freaking great. I think it's still in early access. They haven't done an official release. 111 hours played. Surviving the Aftermath. It looks like a strategy game, but it's more like Frostpunk. Not really. It's a strategy game where you build up a base, but you're not trying to murder your enemy. You're just trying to survive. It's a base building. It's a city builder. Yeah. There's a genre for that. It's a city builder where you survive after the apocalypse. There is other factions and stuff. Once again, it was very grindy. I did get into it enough to finish it, though. The 20-something hours played, it's indeed one playthrough. And you build up that base. You know, it has all the city builder hooks, and it's well done enough that I finished it. What else do you want me to say about it? There has some weird quirks. The interface sometimes is frustrating, but the overall experience is a really good time. I would definitely recommend it as a city builder. You deal with all that, you know, the usual tropes of surviving an apocalypse. Get your water, get the radiation, all the resources and all that good stuff. It's good. There's also DLC that I have not tried. It was kind of too expensive. Lobotomy Corporation. This is another game where I wanted to make YouTube content, and I did not do YouTube content. It is a weird game to even describe. Do I even attempt it? You are this company that studies weird creatures, manifestations of entities in the world, and you capture them, you analyze them with your employees, you have to cater to their needs. The trailer is telling you absolutely nothing. Maybe the narration in the trailer will, but you don't even build a base. It's so strange. It's so strange to even explain. It's a management game where you manage this facility of anomaly spawning weird monstrosities, and you have to cater to their needs, analyze them. You spend whatever ectoplasm they give you. There's like 4 different type of ectoplasm that they spew. I am not describing it correctly, but I've never gone to the late game. Just played a little bit. I was like, man, this is awesome, and I want to feature in the channel. I never got around to it. Eventually, I might. It looks like there's some really weird stuff going on in the late game when you find the truly horrific creatures, truly horrific creatures, and the community seems to be very, very fond of this game. It is a very good, very weird experience that maybe eventually I'll make videos about. Esse Proxy is Hotline Miami-like. Another game I was like, I'm going to play through in the channel. I never did. Top-down action. If you played Hotline Miami, you know what this game is about. It's different. There's not 100% the same, but it's so similar. The entire spirit of it. I don't need to even say anymore. It's like, is that? And it was good. It was more janky, not as smooth, but it was good. The Textorcist. It is feels like Binding of Isaac. It's a bullet hell game. Not really Binding of Isaac, actually. Scratch that. It's a bullet hell game. The levels are predetermined. And the gimmick is, instead of shooting with your mouse or maybe your thumbsticks, you type as you dodge around the bullets. You have to type your exorcisms against the enemy. It's pretty neat. Yet another one where I was like, yeah, I'm going to play this. It's going to be fun in the YouTube channel. Never gone around to it. But this is not a sentiment that I had with a lot of the games in the previous year. A lot of the games in the previous year I kind of bounced off. I was like, this is not very good. Many of these games, I actually like them enough to want to make content about them. I just never get around to it because, I have all this nonsense going on all the time. But you can see in the trailer, the fellow, it really is like that. You gotta type while dodging. It is so freaking challenging. It's a difficult ass game. And there's also challenges to achieve certain things during the fights. And the pixel graphics, you can see them. They're fantastic. That's why I was really into it. I wanted to make videos about it, but just never got around to it. Observation is another game where I really want to get into it, but I don't really bounce off it. I play it for an hour or two. Actually, it can't be an hour or two because I've only played 2 hours of it. I play it for like 30 minutes. And I like it a lot. I want to play more of it. And then I close the game and I never boot it up again. It is like a narrative thing with a lot of puzzles. It's a narrative thing out in space. It has amazing atmosphere. It looks gorgeous. You control, though, perhaps what turns you off is that you control these orbs, these floating orbs that and you are the AI in a, or rather, yeah, I guess you could be the AI. The entity that is floating in the space station. You control the cameras and stuff, and you open gates and you solve problems for the protagonist to get through the space station and fix the space station that is, going to hell. It's a fantastic game. I actually like it quite a lot. I just never boot it up. It's weird. It's a strange thing. Definitely recommend it. Dead Cells, I thought about it. I even was going to revive the series on the channel. And I played it a while and I had a good time. And then I was like, I think Dead Cells, the problem with Dead Cells, is too hard for me. I'm too much of a Nimrod to truly embrace this game. It's too difficult for my poor ape brain to process correctly, and I kind of get too frustrated with it, I guess. It's just not a game that I was like. Spelunky has this stupid skill ceiling, but it still allows me to finish it. Dead Cells, I felt like I was too dumb and bad at video games to be able to actually ever finish, and it's sad, but don't let that deter it from a recommendation. It's a fantastic, gorgeous, side-scrolling roguelike. One of the best combats in a roguelike that you can possibly encounter. Really, really highly recommended. Little Witch Nobeta is perhaps a surprising entry. I saw Mechanicus recommend this way, way back. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. And it's actually pretty great. Unfortunately, it's still on early access, so I kind of stop myself from playing it. I don't want to finish it and then it comes out of early access with all the bells and whistles, and it's so much better then, but I already finished the damn game, so I just stopped. It is a cartoonish Souls-like, where you play as a little witch, Nobeta. And it's pretty, and it's cute, and gorgeously animated, and tough as nails. It will kill you. I wouldn't say it's as hard as Dark Souls, but it's close. It's the same kind of gameplay, except instead of swords and boards, you use your spells to slaughter the enemy. And I really liked it. What else can I say about it? And I stopped myself from playing more, just waiting for that early access release. Pathfinder Kingmaker. I talked about this already. And I think I simply booted it up to do something. Oh, yeah. I wanted to do a video with all the dastardly, awful things that I did in Kingmaker. And I went through all my save files, and I was like, holy crap, man, it will take so much effort to put that video together. So I didn't do it. But the idea has always been there. As I was playing it for that purpose. I mean, I love the game, but I have that in mind of it's going to be so much fun to make a video where I recount the horrendous deeds that Queen Frigidia committed while playing this game. This game is a role-playing game in the Baldur's Gate style. It is so freaking great. It captured that spirit. I'm going to talk about that when I get to Wrath of the Righteous, which I haven't finished yet. So let me just move on. Let's just say that it's great, and it allows you to be absolutely disgustingly evil, which is always a massive plus for any rogue, any role-playing game that I engage in. Fictorum, another game where I wanted to make content. I just didn't get into it. It is super strange. You are the Fictorum. It's a roguelike 3D action game. It starts so puny, it almost turned me off when it started, because you start so puny and pathetic. The combat is janky as hell. I was just not into it. But if you stick with it, you go through maybe a couple it has like an FTL exploration type of deal. It shows right there in the trailer right there. You choose nodes and then you move on to the next. If you go through a couple of those, you gather enough power to become this harbinger of death. And it's so great to destroy the environment. The trailer is showing you. It's like that. You go from being a puny pew pew magic missile kind of thing to just be flying through the air, throwing meteors at your enemies, hilariously BTFO them, and definitely recommended it. This game did not do very well, I don't think. And it's weird how some games, they are obscure while they're still being really good. Blade and Sorcery is a VR game. It is another one that I made a video about. It was too violent, got demonetized. That's all right. It's a VR game, one of the best VR sword and board games that you can encounter. They're actively working on a campaign right now. It's mostly sandboxy. It's a VR game, sword and board, very good. I don't think I need to elaborate anymore on that. Rimworld, what can I possibly say about Rimworld? I already talked about it last year. Rimworld, one of the best colony simulators in the entire world. One of the best games in the world, period. Contender to being the best game ever made. I am not exaggerating. Dying Light, there was somebody in the comments just so obsessed with me playing through Dying Light. I'm like, this game must be amazing. Let me at least try it out. And it was a good time, but I was like, how does this make even remotely good videos? It's like a first-person zombie survival that is kind of open world, but not really. It's like an open world thing, but you go through the, it's the Ubisoft experience, Far Cry experience, where the map is full of icons and you go and do icons and all that stuff. And it's like, it's kind of generic and you do parkour and all that stuff. It's a good time. I would say it's a good game, but I was like, there's no way I could even make videos about this. What am I going to do? Just me roaming through the streets, kicking zombies in the head? It makes no sense. Playing through the story is like, just watch the 20,000 other people that have played through the story. A good game that I didn't finish because the whole open world. Let me get some more. Arboria. It's a roguelike 3D action video game, and it's weird. You're like a troll tree person, and you explore these places. And I kind of got into it until I kind of realized this game is just kind of shallow. The combat was not all that deep. It's like a novelty kind of thing. You experience it and it's like, it's all right. That's about it. The graphics were cool, and that's what really enticed me, but I just really didn't get into it that much. That's about it. Mechanicus, I made a tiny brief video. Mechanicus in the Warhammer universe is XCOM-like. Extremely like XCOM, but not quite so open. It is... you pick missions and you go into the missions. You create your squad of up to 6, I want to say. Adeptus Mechanicus. I would count it as perhaps, at least in my experience, the ones that I have played, the best Warhammer 40,000 game ever made. Even better. I know Total War has never been 40K. Even better than Dawn of War. I mean, they're different genres. For my sensibilities, what I enjoy, Mechanicus was the best Warhammer 40K experience that I've had on a computer. It is one of the most lore-friendly and most well-done 40K experience. You know how Games Workshop just gives the license to everybody? You might get a complete pile of trash as of a video game. Mechanicus is the opposite of that. The people that made this know the lore, know exactly what they're doing. It was excellent, and I would recommend it to anybody with even a passing interest in the franchise or XCOM. Like, even if you're not into 40K, just because the XCOM-like game is so great, definitely recommend it. Crantrick made a video about it. It's another roguelike turn-based exploration dungeon. The closest I can think of would be Dungeons and Dreadmore. It is a great, beautiful, beautiful sprite game. Was it sprites? I actually forget. come on, the freaking trailers are not loading anymore. I made a video about it. You can search it. You can search it. I don't know if I'll remember actually linking it. I really would like to, at the very least, show some screenshots, please, because that is the maximum attraction of Crown Trick. How gorgeous it is. Absolutely beautiful game. The art of it is fantastic, but it wasn't just art. There was some real depth to it. Not quite as crazy as Dungeons & Dremor, but definitely a lot of things to unlock. I had a great time. War for the Overworld, I tried to get into it. It's a dungeon keeper like basically that's exactly what they tried to do. A dungeon keeper successor. There was something missing. The heart of it was missing. It was so strange. I just got this vibe of I just don't get into it. It's not Dungeon Keeper, and it's this imitation of Dungeon. I don't want to diss the game because it's actually a pretty great game, but something about it made me not want to play it, and I feel that's 100% personal. Another game that my wife got into way more than I did. She actually finished the whole game, and she had a great time. So don't let my weird personal experience of not really finding what I was looking for. It's weird. Dungeons 3, I felt captured the entire Dungeon Keeper spirit more than War for the Overworld. It's bizarre, but you know, just personal taste. What you gonna do about it? Planescape Torment continues to be my absolute favorite game of all time. 80 to 90% because of the narrative and all the wonderful choices that it allows you to do. Another Baldur's Gate-like in the Infinity Engine. You can see it right now. That's how it plays. That's how it looks like. There is the Enhanced Edition now. It worked beautifully on my computer. And man, it's so fast. It's so nice to play on something so well optimized. There was no bugs that I could see. I did not encounter any. But the Planescape story, I think everybody with even a remotely passing interest in narrative in video games or book reading, everybody should experience that. It is the best story ever committed into a video game. It is excellence itself. The writing is fantastic. You will be hard pressed to find better writing in any video game ever. So, you know, I could not recommend it more. Slay the Spire, I'm not even gonna click on it. We all know how much I love Slay the Spire. I got into it again on August. I played a bunch of runs. I've actually, I made a video of it as well. I did click on it. I did end up clicking on it because I finally got the damn hard kill on Ascension 20 of the last character that I had, and I wanted to brag about it on a video. Republique VR is another VR game where, once again, you control the cameras to guide a protagonist. You're like a hacker dude that is guiding this prisoner lady trying to get out of this facility. It's like a school, but she's a prisoner. It's weird. A strange thing that it has Jennifer Hale as the main antagonist, and the accent she chose, not the greatest. I wish you were just a regular voice. I am not, you can tell so hard it is Jennifer Hale with an accent. It ain't great, but it's still a fun experience that I've tried to finish. But once again, it's just like Observation. I love it when I'm playing it, and then I just don't boot it up again. It's like too much work to get into it. I don't know. Moving on. Loot River, another game that I actually made a video about. Wonder how it's doing in the general populace. It is a top-down roguelike where the gimmick is you move the platforms with your other hand. You move it around the river. I did feel the gameplay was a little shallow, but the gimmick is really cool. I don't want to expound too much more into it. It's another cool roguelike. Half-Life 2 got a VR mode. I tried it. It was good, and I didn't want to play through it. So that's the entirety of it. Terror of the Hemasaurus, another game that I made a video about. It's weird, like I've made way more videos about this year's games than I did the last year. I don't know, something about the games last year, they weren't all that great or something, I don't know. But it is a Rampage revival. So much fun to murder humans. Oh, so great to take control of the dinosaur and just munch on the populace as you side scroll through these cityscapes. It is fantastic if you're into it. It is super good, and the pixel graphics ain't half bad. It's a fantastic video game. Baldur's Gate, I got into a gameplay, a whole playthrough of a dude called Let's Roleplay on YouTube, where he never breaks character playing through the game, and I got so much into it that I wanted to play myself. There's something I never did, was to solo the game, so I was trying to do that, and I feel I was having a far easier experience than when I had a full party of 6. But I got maybe halfway, and then I kind of lost interest because it's a video game I've already played through. And every time I'm playing something that I've already played, I got this thing in my head like, you should be experiencing new games. You should be experiencing new things. Stop dwelling in the past. Go to the future. Stop replaying video games. So that kind of always makes me stop the nostalgia trip. That being said, what could I possibly say about Baldur's Gate that hasn't been said already? The OG like literally made the genre into what it is. This is the OG game. Oh man, the OG game that started it all. You get, as an aside, getting to the how they made it. Check out some documentaries and some interviews and stuff like that. They were on a shoestring budget, just clobbering things together. It's so amazing that they created this masterpiece the way that they did. Super interesting, the resourcefulness of the developers of that game. Roguebook, a game that I wanted to make a video about. I haven't gone around to it yet, but I think I will. Very shorthand, it's a deck builder RPG, very Slay the Spire-like, with its own gimmick. It's 2 characters instead of 1. You build 2 decks simultaneously, and you explore through each level in this hex-based grid, getting into encounters like you do in Slay the Spire. Like, imagine the Spire is the hex-based grid. The decisions you make is walking to a certain event or another event. You get only a certain amount of steps that you can explore in the grid, and then you get into the encounter. The encounter plays a lot like Slay the Spire. I was really impressed with it, to the point that I wanted to make a video about it. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but it was really fun. It was a really good time. Pistol Whip, the Thigh Destroyer. It is a VR game where you constantly weave and dodge, and you are squatting about 95% of the time. And that will make your thighs into a crybaby. It will wreck you the first time that you play through it. Once you get used to it, I built enough muscle, so it no longer leaves me a scrunched out buffoon. But it's really a fun VR game where you auto walk through levels and you're just shooting the enemies like that with the triggers. Fantastic video game. One of the best workouts for your, I would say the best workout for your leg if you're into VR workouts. You cannot do better than Pistol Whip. Distance, another game where I wanted to make a video, and I still might get around to it. I always was quite a fan of racing games where it's arcadey. I also like the simulations one, but that just takes so much work to set up, get the steering wheel and all that stuff. It's let me just press the arrow one side, press the arrow the other side, and that's how I steer. I like that. Kind of fell off my radar, the entire genre, but Distance is so bizarre. It's like this futuristic racing game. It's a time attack game. You go through the levels all by yourself. Not like Trackmania. It has this weird campaign and also time attack. I guess Trackmania would be the biggest comparison, but then you also get like airplane mode, and you can fly through the games and through the levels and all that stuff. It's a very good, very fast. You remember Wipeout if you are an old school fella. It's kind of like that. It's very fast paced, go through the levels, dodging obstacles, better your own time. That kind of experience. Very good. Very, very, very flashy, good looking. Beat Saber, one of my favorite games of all time in VR. It's just, what else can I say about Beat Saber? You work out by slashing cubes to the rhythm of the music. This game has introduced me to a lot of music I never thought I would enjoy. Kind of have become a bit of a K-pop fan as I play through these video games. You won't catch me listening to it on my downtime, but hell, it really is quite the bopper when you are slaying some cubes inside the virtual realm. Is a great time if you have VR. If you have VR and you don't have Beat Saber, you're probably an alien. Windjammers 2, I made a video about this one. It's a fighting game, but instead of fighting, it's a 1v1 frisbee match. And it's great. I made the video and said everything I had to say about it. It's a great revival of the arcade. Very faithful. Super fun. Really, really good time. Then, you know, it kind of doesn't outlive its welcome. I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say it has a curve of game of you being into it. I'm into it. Okay, I experienced it. I'm done with it. And every game is like that, but this one was pretty fast. I was like, all right, I got my fill of Windjammers, and I don't really want to play anymore. It was a great time. I don't regret buying it, but let's move on. And but really great fun. Necrobouncer currently being played in the channel. If I feel like it's this sleeper hit, but the problem I see, and that you already saw me while playing, if you watch me play it, not enough variety with the bosses. That's a cardinal sin for me to fight. It's a mix between Enter the Gungeon and the Binding of Isaac. For me to fight the exact same boss every end of the first level, that's a cardinal sin. I think is a deal breaker. It's like what really makes it not fun enough to want to play through. It's bizarre, this design choice. I mean, obviously, you know, a developer has only so many resources, so they do this and that and cut certain pieces of content and all that stuff. If you have a roguelike that gameplay is like this, and you only have one boss on your first level, you need to not release it until you have more bosses on your first level. And that is the way that I feel about it. River City Girls, another one that I made a video about. I love to be hunting for my boyfriend in the River City while I clobber the crap out of everybody. It's a classic brawler with an awesome little super cute anime narrative. If you're not into anime, if anime repulses you, do not play this game. If you can tolerate it, if you're into it, fantastic experience. It is the production value, the art of it, it's amazing. And the soundtrack is super kick-ass. It surprised me a lot. The soundtrack is so good. Spelunky, it's Spelunky. Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Oh, this game has overtaken the whole year. When I started it, I bought it, I don't know, sometime in the middle of the summer. And no, I bought it actually last year, but I started playing it a year after because I knew the experience would be horrendously buggy. Owlcat is notorious for releasing awfully buggy games, but I knew that I would love it if I got into it. And I played this year, and it has basically reduced my output considerably on the channel. I have not spent nearly as much as I should have spent editing videos, putting videos together, because I wanted to play Wrath of the Righteous. It is just that good. Now, huge caveat, the writing is the definition of inconsistent. Some characters, even within a character, it's like some encounters, some narratives, some passages will be like, man, that's some really good writing. Some other stuff is like, what are you doing? Who paid this person to write this? What? And I have grown more forgiving of it as I have played it, because I started playing it taking it way more seriously than the game takes itself. The thing with the game's narrative, I know that I'm going a little long on this, but I think it's worth saying. It has this weird dichotomy where there's mood whiplash. There's super serious stuff followed by a goofy ass scene. And if you're not into that mindset that this game mixes both, it's going to take you completely out of the game and be like, what? Who wrote this garbage? You know? But once I finally, like, I got the idea, the mindset that they were going into it, I was like, all right, you know, it's sort of endearing. I get it. The exponent will be meeting Nenio, one of the characters in the game. She is the most awful, obnoxious introduction I've ever had in a role-playing game. The only character that I decided to outright murder without taking into my party, she was that obnoxious and awful. Not just the character itself, but the experience of the entire introduction of it. It was so awful, I hated it. I murdered her, chunked the crap out of her, never saw her again in my playthrough. Further playthroughs, I have several concurrent ones because it's a role-playing game with so many insane choices that you have to make several playthroughs to see it all. And I'm super into it, so I really want to see it all. I took her into the party, and she's actually she kind of grows on you, and it's a good time. But just go into it with that mindset of the writing is going to be inconsistent. Some of it you're going to love, some of it you're going to despise. Not much you can do about it. It's just, it is, you get what you get. If you get past that, the gameplay is so great. The amount of choice, the role-playing choices. Oh, you can be so disgustingly evil in this game. I love it. Elden Ring, currently being played on the channel. I don't need to tell you more about Elden Ring. I don't want to talk about Elden Ring. I'm still playing it. Spelunky 2 continues to be the bread and butter of what I do. A lovely video game by Derek Yu. One day we might get Spelunky 3. I doubt it very much. And here's Dwarf Fortress, which I played yesterday. Dwarf Fortress has been in the background of my gaming career for the entirety of it. What was it? 2 decades that they started with this game. It is the game that inspired Rimworld. It's the most vast, complex simulation of a colony you can have in a video game, and that is a literal statement. It is the colony builder that started it all. And it's almost unplayable for me right now. I'm still playing it because it's so good. It's so good, but the frame rate is hot garbage. The interface, I know that you poor keyboard cursor veterans that have played this game for 10 years, you are so starved for an interface that the improvements that they made for the Steam version are great, and it's like a godsend, but it's still not good. The interface is so obscure and stupid. You have to click each and every individual dwarf. You can't scroll through them. There is no overlapping of menus, so you can compare things. Like, for example, you want to create a squad, and if you want to see who's suited to fighting and enjoys fighting and will actually want to be part of the army, you have to click through your roster of 70 dwarves and find out their wants and needs. But I think that's a problem with me. I think I went into the Dwarf Fortress, and I have shed this mindset quite a lot, and I have enjoyed it a lot more. I went into the Dwarf Fortress expecting that kind of micromanagement, and what I should have done is like pick the coolest name. The entire point is to create situations that give you a giggle. So yeah, put the super wimp guy that hates fighting as your captain of the guard. You know what I did? I picked my most pissed off dwarf. The guy that was the most disgruntled. I made him into my captain of the guard to head the entire military operation. Has worked out so far. The thing is, I'm still on the tutorial fortress, and that's another thing that I realized, man, this game is pretty slow, isn't it? And then I realized, you idiot, you are playing the very first tutorial fortress. Of course it's going to be the easiest difficulty level. So, you know, Dwarf Fortress is such a deep game that I can't even make a judgment on it. The interface, though, it could definitely use a lot of improvements. It's a massive improvement from what it was, but still needs some work. And there are a lot of bugs. Now, are there bugs? Or is it just Dwarf Fortress being Dwarf Fortress? It's hard to tell sometimes, because I think it's a bug that they're leaving the rotten food in the room, but maybe it's just this dwarf that is a freaking pig and he just leaves the food on the floor because that's what he does. Who knows? Is it a bug? Is it just behavior of this weirdo? Anyway, I've expanded a little too much on Dwarf Fortress. Definitely will make videos about it in one way or another. Not right now though, because there's some weird resolution crashes. If you have an extra monitor with the recording software and all that stuff, it's not going to do very well. And I just don't want to deal with that. Like the game crashes. It already crashed it on me. Lost like 2 hours of work. I was like, oh, that's a deal breaker for me. I'm still going back to it though, because I love County Builders, and Dwarf Fortress is finally accessible enough for me to want to play it on a general basis. So do expect some Dwarf Fortress content. And hey, that's it. That didn't take too long, did it? Not even an hour. Whoa! Getting better at it. Maybe I just didn't play as many games as last year. Quite a few, though. Hopefully you enjoy yourself. This was a Christmas tradition that I'm pretty sure I'm going to continue until I die.